Hello and welcome to a new episode of Geek. I'm your host Chris, as usual. Now, in this episode, we will be mostly casting an eye of Agamotto, if you will, over the new Doctor Strange and his adventures in the Multiverse of Madness. Before we get into that, just check out some of the other news that happened this week. Obviously, first thing this week was May the 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you and all that. So what do we get? Not a lot. I said on the last episode, I suspected we would get a new trailer for Obi-Wan, and we did indeed, and a new poster. I'll put a link to the trailer in the description below, as always. Yeah, even if you like what you see, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to have you. It helps out the channel a great deal. But yes, Obi-Wan. So a lot of the same footage from the previous teaser we had, but we did get some extra bits. We get to see Obi-Wan having a bit of an argument with Uncle Owen, and Uncle Owen chastising him a bit, saying Obi-Wan saying that Luke needs to be taught, and gets a bit of a burn from Uncle Owen, saying just like you taught his father. But ironic there, getting a burn from a man who ends up as a charred and crispy corpse later on, but and we would get to see more of the Inquisitors, but the main thing we got to see was that presumably by the Inquisitors say that you can't run from him, is Darth Vader. We get to see bits of a big mechanical arm being put into place, and the iconic wheezy asthmatic breathing at the end. Still no actual shots of Hayden Christensen in the outfit, or whether we're going to see him as a flashback or not. But yeah, looking good. There's a brief glimpse. We see the first of Kamal Nanjiani, who was in Eternals. We get to see his character. I'm not sure. It looks like he's got a bit of a Jedi robe on. Hard to tell sometimes, because Jedi robes also look a bit like what they wear on Tatooine sometimes. But yeah, whether or not he's another Jedi who survived the Purge, interesting. We know there's quite a few out there. Obviously, Yoda and Ahsoka. Cal Kestis from the Jedi Fallen Order gained Kanan from Rebels. We know there's quite a few people that potentially Obi-Wan could meet, which would be great. So yeah, May the 27th, we're getting the first 2 episodes, aren't we, on the Friday, same day that Stranger Things new season comes out. So looking forward to that. Also, they dropped the Book of Boba Fett Disney Gallery episode, the little sort of making ofs that they do for all their shows on Disney Plus. So yeah, no sort of fanfare, just that arrived. It was good. I love behind the scenes making of stuff. Any rate, obviously Book of Boba Fett was, it wasn't the most fantastic show, and the best bits, as we all know, was when the Mandalorian turned up, and it more or less became Mandalorian season 2.5. They don't really obviously they don't really address anything like that. It's just a straightforward making of. They don't really talk about the story structure or how why they brought the Mandalorian in. I think Jon Favreau sort of mentions that they love Mandalorian so much they wanted to bring him in. Obviously, being a friend of Boba Fett's, it made sense. They don't go into any great depth as to why they literally just abandoned the whole Boba Fett story for like 2 episodes, just as it was getting towards the finale of the show. But they show you a lot of the practical effects, the big full-size Rancor head they built, which is great, the full-size bantha that they could ride around on that moved about. Some really nice stuff with Mark Hamill on set for the episode, where you see him training Grogu, and a bit of the whole deep fake stuff of you've got Mark Hamill and his stand-in, and how working together on the set to create the performance, and then the sort of visual effects to make him look like the Luke of that era, which is always good to see. Some really nice stuff. Nice to see Robert Rodriguez. Even though I didn't think his direction was great in the show, as I mentioned before, but to see him on set playing his guitar with Grogu, having a play along as well, it's fun to see. It's good. So yeah, that's well worth a watch. They also announced that there's a 6-part documentary on the I think part 1 drops 27th of July on Disney Plus, all about Industrial Light and Magic, the special effects company that George Lucas started to work on the first Star Wars film, and just about every decent film ever made since with visual effects. ILM has been involved, and it looks like Ron Howard is heading that one up. And it looks to me, they mentioned a round table discussion, so I think a bit like the Disney Gallery, the first season of The Mandalorian, where they had the individual episodes, and they, all the people sitting around the table, all the main people taking part. It looks to be like that. You're going to have Ron Howard and a lot of the ILM staff, like Dennis Muren, Joe Johnston, who went on, who worked for ILM as an art director and went on to direct such things as was it Rocketeer and Captain America: The First Avenger. Phil Tippett, I think, involved, the stop motion guy who did all of the the walkers, the Tauntauns, the Rancor, everything like that. Absolute legends in their field. Love Industrial Light and Magic, love the work they do. So yeah, that's a documentary starting 27th of July on Disney Plus. It should be a good one. Moving away from Star Wars, we got a little teaser for Cobra Kai season 5 and a release date of September the 9th. I think I've said before, I really enjoyed Cobra Kai when it started. I love the work they did by making, by taking Johnny the bad guy and sort of turning it around so that you root for him a lot of the time more than you do LaRusso, who's sort of, a bit of a sort of pompous, arrogant type at times. I really like that, and it was really good. I've said that in the last season, it's starting to get a bit repetitive and a bit, I don't know, it hasn't quite jumped the shark, but it's getting there. It's almost like flogging a dead horse. The amount of people that keep changing sides every season. I thought season 4 would have been a great time to end it. They were having this whole, the Valley Karate tournament. Same as like ending the first film would have been a good way to end it. But instead, no, obviously it didn't go that way, and obviously they were going to do season 5 because it is popular. So I will watch it, but I get the feeling it's probably run its course now. It's still an enjoyable show, but not as good as the early seasons. But yeah, September the 9th that hits. So this week also saw the final episode of Moon Knight on Disney Plus as well, the MCU show with Oscar Isaac. And it was good. It's been a good, solid show. Some nice action and special effects in the final episode. Some nice reveals. Something a bit different for the MCU. And something a bit different for the MCU, and depicting the different personalities of Moon Knight himself. It's been good fun. Ethan Hawke has been excellent as Harrow the bad guy. Yeah, just a good fun, solid series. And as I'm about to talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the absolute opposite. Doctor Strange is like maximum Marvel. It's like all the sort of Marvel stuff ramped up to the nth degree. Whereas Moon Knight, I think one episode they mention, I think when he, as a mercenary, went to Madripoor, the made-up Marvel place that we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier. And that was the only connection. I don't really recall no other real connections to the MCU, nothing in the background, no graffiti on walls, no one reading a newspaper and things in the background. Nothing like that at all. Nothing else is mentioned. Really, really standalone. Which brings me on to say Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which absolutely the opposite. It's obviously by now the MCU's been running for ages, and they're very comfortable in what they're doing. And Doctor Strange, this movie, very particularly, if you've not seen WandaVision, if you've not seen the TV show, and you're just having watched the movies, you'll wonder what Wanda's motivation and what the hell's going on with her kids. It's heading into spoiler territory now. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you can stop watching now. Just know that I really enjoyed the film. If you're a Marvel fan, Marvel have got these things down now. If you're not a Marvel fan and you don't like Marvel movies, you're not going to like this one. If you're a massive Marvel fan, you'll love this one. And if you're a sort of casual viewer, it's got some great special effects, great action scenes, and there's that for you. You can take from that what you want. If obviously Marvel now is so sort of slick and all the different references to previous stuff we've seen. Spoiler alert. We're going now into spoilers, so say stop watching if you've not seen the film and don't want to be spoiled. But if you've seen the film or you don't care, then let's dig in. Yeah, absolute opposite to Moon Knight. If you really, the multiverse goes back. So they sort of mentioned it first all the way back to it's Spider-Man Far From Home, where you had Mysterio, who said he was from a multiverse, which obviously turned out to not be true, but that was a little way of bringing it in. We then had Loki, obviously then really goes for it. Actually, no, before that we had WandaVision, didn't we? Which sort of didn't really mention multiverse, but the whole idea of her brother having come in from the other X-Men movie, obviously Quicksilver, and sort of giving you that little bit of, oh, is there these different universes, which again turned out not to be. That was just a good boner joke. Then Loki then just goes full on multiverse, and we get to see the start of that and Kang the Conqueror. And then Spider-Man, obviously, No Way Home, with the different Spider-Mens coming in from their various universes and really, really kick off that whole multiverse feel, which obviously is what we've got here. So story-wise, obviously we had Doctor Strange did his spell at the end of Spider-Man, so no one knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Which is mentioned vaguely. There's that whole idea of the multiverse, and we now know there's all these different other universes that are all slightly different to the one we're in. So we get newcomer Xochitl Gomez playing America Chavez, who has the ability to basically literally punch star-shaped holes through multiverses and can travel between them. She's being pursued by some monsters, and this is where the film starts off. A brilliant action sequence at the beginning, if you've seen it in the trailer, with the big eyeball monster with the tentacles chasing her around, is a great start. And from there, the plot goes forward so that she teams up with Doctor Strange and Wong, and off to go to Kamar-Taj to protect her from the bad guy. Now, big spoilers here, and I was quite surprised. I wasn't expecting this. Didn't get this from the trailers at all. The big bad guy is Wanda herself, the Scarlet Witch. She has not recovered from losing her kids at the end of WandaVision, and has decided that she wants to go searching around the multiverse to find another version of herself with her kids, so she can go and live happily ever after with them. And she's been pursuing America Chavez to do this. And it's not, when they sort of revealed that she was the bad guy, I wondered if it was then gonna somehow change, but it's like no, she's the big bad throughout the whole film, and she's killing people left, right, and center. They've said this is the darkest Marvel movie they've done, and a lot of horror aspects brought into it. And it is, I will say, if you've got little kids, there's some stuff going on. If you're familiar with Sam Raimi's other work, there's some stuff obviously not as extreme as The Evil Dead, but there is quite a few. There's some spooky stuff going on. People getting charred and ended up as corpses. That sort of thing. So just be warned if you've got little kids. It's probably you might want to watch it first. And yes, obviously this is a Sam Raimi movie, and it is it's Marvel to turned up to maximum, and it's Sam Raimi at peak Raimi. His Dutch camera angles, his Ramo cam, all the stuff. It was great to see all of the visual camera tricks that he's used throughout his career, starting back, say, in his low budget Evil Dead days, that he's still using to great effect. It is a gorgeous looking movie. The effects are fantastic. The score is brilliant. This is Danny Elfman at peak Danny Elfman. He's worked with Sam a lot. It's full on, it's bombastic. There's even down to Doctor Strange and evil Doctor Strange fight at one point in a sort of musical note battle, which is great news. Is obviously Danny Elfman sort of comes to his fore for that. And we even get the obligatory Bruce Campbell cameo, like we do in every Sam Raimi film going. It's great, it's really funny, and again, it's peak Bruce Campbell. Sam has always spent his career absolutely punishing Bruce, and there's no exception, by repeatedly making him punch himself in the face and do all those moves like in Evil Dead 2 where he chops off his hand and just really abusing him, which plays off really nicely the sort of joke that leads right up to the very final end credit scene at the end, which got some groans from the audience. That I was with, obviously a few people, probably not familiar with the Bruce Campbell connection and stuff, but I thought it was hilarious. It's really good stuff. So the other big spoilers are well, some stuff that was revealed in the trailers, which I find strange for Marvel, is the Illuminati. Marvel's they're in the comics, and various different people make them up at different times. This version of the Illuminati we get is Captain Marvel, but this time it's Maria Rambeau, her friend, who is in this different version, this different multiverse we're currently in. She has become Captain Marvel. We've got Black Bolt from the Inhumans. Captain Carter, Haley Atwell, back as Captain Carter that we've seen in the What If cartoons. Baron Mordo, who was the bad guy obviously in Doctor Strange, he's back as good guy in this. Professor X, which again as Patrick Stewart as Professor X from the X-Men, which again I'm surprised that Marvel let that slip in I think it was the first trailer, wasn't it? We got where you hear his voice and see the back of his baldy head. And then one of the last TV spots revealed the sort of Captain Carter. You saw the shield with the Union Jack on it. Yeah, nice little bits. You didn't have to need to have seen the What If animated series on Disney Plus, but obviously Captain Carter, the zombie use, Doctor Strange inhabiting his dead version of himself, bringing in the zombies. Then you had the Ultron robots, who are sort of the guards at the Illuminati as well. You've got all those from the cartoons brought in, which was really nice. And then the biggest surprise, which was great to see, was Reed Richards himself, Mr. Fantastic, and Marvel obviously listened to all the fan casting that people have been going on about for ages, and bringing in John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. I hope that this isn't just oh, there you go, there he is, he's a multi-version version of him, and when we get to the Fantastic Four that they recast with someone else, I hope they stick with him. I always thought he was a perfect match, and he looks really good. The only thing with this Illuminati is we don't see a great deal of them before Wanda wipes them all out, which is very entertaining, and people's heads exploding, which again, not something you normally get in a Marvel film. But definitely the Sam Raimi influence is there. But yeah, hopefully we get him. Bring in Emily Blunt as Sue Storm as well. Yeah, can't wait to see. Obviously, we announced last week that John Watts had left the directing role on Fantastic Four, so I'm not sure who's going to step into his shoes yet. And indeed, some of the negatives I've seen online, a lot of it seems to be people who were disappointed seem to have built up the film in their heads that there were going to be a lot of different multiverses, and then we were going to presumably have like a big final battle where they were going to bring in a bit like maybe like the end of Endgame, where all these people were going to turn up, and it was going to be all different, multi-versions. I mean, the big rumor was of people saying that Tom Cruise was going to turn up as a multiverse version of Tony Stark, and then we're going to see all these different versions, which obviously doesn't happen. So I can see that's something too big. I can see obviously we had to go through all the different phases of the MCU until we got to Endgame, and then brought everyone together. And I think obviously this new phase is still in its infancy. That's something that's going to happen at the end of the multiverse story. I would say it wouldn't surprise me if we will get almost like an Avengers Endgame, and presumably if Kang the Conqueror is going to be the big guy, or even if I still think that Galactus might turn up at some point, is going to be the big guy and the big bad guy at the end, and that you will get multiverse versions of the Avengers and all different people. I think that would be great, and I can see that happening. I did wonder, because I thought maybe we would see Kang the Conqueror, as he was sort of been mentioned that he's going to be the big bad guy of the multiverse. Obviously introduced in Loki that way. I know he's coming up in Ant-Man Quantumania next year. But not a mention of him at all. I thought we'd get little hints, but nothing at all, which was a bit strange. And for me, my main disappointment was probably we don't see enough multiverses. They tell us that 616 is the universe that we've been watching, same as in the comics of 616. We then see this other version that they go to where the Illuminati are. We then see another version where everything's gone wrong, and that's where he meets this sort of evil Doctor Strange, and they have a bit of a battle there. And that's really about it. Except when Doctor Strange and America Chavez first fly through all the multiverses, you get glimpses of all these different multiverses that they go through. One's like where they're made out of paint. One is an animated one. I'm trying to think what other ones there were. There are all these different multiverses. It all looks fantastic, very Sam Raimi, gorgeous to look at. But that's the only real time you see. But again, I suppose this is the first time, apart from the Spider-Men, coming over. This is the first time we've gone into these other multiverses. So maybe I was expecting a bit more. I thought maybe at the end, at least, in the big final battle with Wanda, that it would involve more flitting around different multiverses. But it doesn't. But yeah, I think we'll get that later on. It was gorgeous to see all these different multiverses. It was just a shame that we didn't see a bit more of them. The other problem I have is that with this idea of the multiverse is the fact that it's very easy to just kill characters off because you can bring in other versions of them, and obviously they do that with the whole Illuminati all get killed. I've noted obviously we will see different versions of these characters turn up at other times. It's all very heart wrenching when Tony Stark dies at the end of Endgame, and then obviously Cap goes off to live his life and comes back as the old man. We run the risk of these things not having as much weight in the future because you can easily bring someone back from another multiverse. Hopefully they won't go down that route too much. So yeah, overall, I loved it. I'm not the biggest Doctor Strange fan. I must admit, the first Doctor Strange movie is probably the least watched of all the Marvel films. I think I've only seen it a couple of times. That probably there with Thor, Dark World, and possibly the first Thor movie. I've not seen them a great deal, but I love the way Doctor Strange was then used in Infinity War, and when he used it like as a supporting character, like in Spider-Man No Way Home. Then the Multiverse of Madness, he obviously is the main character. You've got Doctor Strange, you've got America Chavez, you've got Wong, who's always reliable, and you've got Christine, obviously the love of his life that he never seems to get together with in any of the multiverses, unfortunately. So he's got this team around him, which I think works a lot better. Benedict Cumberbatch, obviously Doctor Strange, he plays him quite straight a lot of the time, almost arrogant and pompous. Tony Stark, you can get away with that because he's got the one-liners and he's charismatic. Whereas I think you need to have that balance of comedy at other characters, and I think Wong does it really well with Doctor Strange. I'm worried for Wong. He to me seems like an Agent Coulson character. He's a character. He's been a bit part in various different movies, popping up in Shang-Chi, and he's a really nice character that you like, and I worry that he's exactly the sort of character like with Coulson that they will kill off to show the consequences of how powerful Kang is or something like that. So yes, I do worry for Wong. Hopefully I'm wrong. So yeah, you don't need me to tell you if you're going to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness or not. You're either in the Marvel, you're on the Marvel ride now, or you're not. Definitely not a film, say, for someone that hasn't been following the entire story. You probably won't have a clue what's going on. It's big, it's bombastic. There's possibly not much characterization, character growth, things like that. Doctor Strange is not really changed much from where we meet him at the beginning of the film, except for the fact that he has had the power of the Darkhold. So he's gone a bit weird and has his third eye appearing. End credit sequence with Charlize Theron turning up as a clear character who Doctor Strange, I think, actually becomes his love interest in the comics, to go off and set up a third Doctor Strange movie, if that's the way they're going to go. So yeah, it's a big, bombastic, special effects fueled, action filled Marvel movie. And if you like that sort of thing, you're going to love it. I certainly enjoyed it. The one thing we didn't get was the Avatar Way of Water trailer, which they said was going to be playing exclusively with Doctor Strange. Not on my cinema, it wasn't. And it's not online yet. I think they're waiting a while, they said, because they want people to see it on the big screen, which is fine. Then show it on the big screen. So I can't tell you what the content of that trailer was, because I still haven't seen it. Maybe it'll crop up next week. That's about it from me and the Multiverse of Madness this week. So until next week, take care and eat, geek, and be merry.